Hey, have you ever read Autobiography of a Yogi or heard about some strange occurrences or things that happen? I remember Wayne Dyer talking about when he levitated and that he was doing a chanting, some maybe Kriya yoga, I can't remember the practice, but he was doing it for a while and then he suddenly levitated off the floor and he had the thought, I want to show this to the world. I wonder what this would be like doing it on camera. And he said he came back down and he could never do it again, no matter how hard he tried. And maybe that was something to do with, like the Course says, if you're doing it just for show, it's just for ego purposes, so then it's not really for the purpose of healing, so it doesn't, it's not useful, so it can, I don't know if I said it can be taken away or what. But, so a few days ago I was down by the sea and I was right next to the water and I made a recording of this. I was recording myself at the time, I believe, I hope, and I'll connect it to this. And as I was at the water, I was crouching down and I was in this intense focus, just for a moment, like really intense, on nothing in particular, just on a sensation or a thought or a feeling or something within, and just staring deeply into the water, but at the same time holding my complete attention, and I could feel this energy like powering up, and suddenly the waves just kicked up. It was it was out of this world experience, just showing me that this world isn't what you think it is. It's not just a thing that's here and you're just being affected by it. I got up and I looked at the waves and I thought maybe there was a boat going by on the sea, but no boat. And just before it, the sea was so calm. There was nothing. It was like dead, not completely. There was a little bit of waves, a little bit like brushing against the shore, but nothing like this. And I got up and I thought, what is going on? And my friend was there, and he just happened. He just at that was the time he went to somewhere else on the beach. Like he'd been there for ages, and anyway, yeah. And I said to him, "Look, can you see?" And as soon as I went to ask him, and I said, "Look what's happening," it stopped. And this was insane. I was like, wow. You know, we think our minds are not powerful. We think, you know, how weak are we? How we don't really have an effect on the things around us, even though the Course tells us, you know, every thought goes into a constellation that you can never even imagine, and how powerful and effective your thoughts are on the world. I felt like this was a demonstration of that. And it was, I don't know, like, it just serves as a demonstration of, like, you are not this body, you are mind. You know, you're purely mind. You're not this slab of meat, this dust. We are really this powerful mind that has this amazing creative ability, and we're misusing it in this world. day I saw this video on the Indian yogis and their powers and what they could do, and I remembered the book Autobiography of a Yogi. When I read that book, when I first read it, it was maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. I'd just done my first, 10 years ago, I'd done my first Vipassana, and when I came back, I was so in bliss that every time I would read that book, I would just vibrate crazy. I would read these stories about the manifestation of smells and multi-position, where I don't know, can't remember the word for it, but where you just you can put yourself in different locations at the same time, and one was their limbs being cut off and then just reappearing like nothing had happened. And these yogis that had such intense power over their mind and over their world. And yeah, after that I would sit in meditation for 4 hours and just vibrate like crazy for hours on end. And yeah, it just reminded me of that how powerful we really are, and that even though that's probably just like an ember, like a little taste of the potential power that you have of your mind, like how we're misusing it in this world to create things and do stuff that really is just distracting us away from our real power. So not to get distracted. I was thinking, like, if I could go back and recreate that and see what is it for, like what was the purpose of it, why did I have this intense focus that was just completely spontaneous. Yeah, any ideas or inspirations or experiences you've had as well that's similar would be really cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful day today. Check it out. Also, the sound is probably not as good on this. My Lavalier mic is run out of battery. Also, something that happened was I've been experiencing these really high states recently, and then as I was sitting on the beach that day, I realized that I said in a previous video that I didn't want the world. I really felt that. I knew that I don't want any more special relationships or anything that's just fixed on this goal of being human. And then I realized it wasn't 100% the other day. It was like there was still this desire for humanness, desire to be as I'm not, and it was really apparent that it was making me feel very sad. But it was just also not super sad, but just that the heart. I have this thing where if I'm not in an open-hearted state, the heart is like half closed down. It feels like half a rock instead of a full experience of open-heartedness, which I've been feeling a lot recently. And I realised that it's not a bad thing. It's just showing me where I'm still attached to the things of the world, where I'm still holding on to, if only I had this, I'd still be happy. And yet these lessons, I feel so powerful at the moment. I could just momentarily take my mind back in and just go, okay, give it over. I was just having a thought recently. I was just on my way up here, and recently people have been coming and just dumping rubbish everywhere in this like really beautiful countryside area, and it never used to happen. And literally just in the last few months, people have kept dumping stuff. I don't know, just a group of people, whatever, and there's this thoughts of taking the piss, and it's a reflection of a thought I have with many things in this world, where people they don't respect. They're like, my life is important. You not no no. Like, it's very self-centered, and yet today's lesson, I trust my brother who is one with me, and yet I still have to maintain that this is still my guilt reflected out and back to me, even though I don't want to accept it fully. I don't want to accept it because it still seems so real, and yet I have to be firm with this decision that that's just happening in my mind, and my brother is one with me, and this is still my hallucination, illusion, and we have to be so firm with these thoughts. And I think that's what happened with my heart, that I wasn't completely firm with it, and I was still thinking of these people as people, and because there was this thing around, I was thinking sex. I was thinking I've never had like a sexual experience that didn't ultimately lead to pain. And then I remembered one experience, and I actually, maybe I'll either tell it here or I was sharing it on the beach. I was in Nicaragua and I met this girl one night, and she was a lovely girl, and we ended up going to a sex hotel, and she don't want to do it. I just come because my sister wanted to have sex with that guy, and like, I'm not like this. I don't have sex with random strangers. It's not like me. And all night we're just up, and nothing happened. And then the next day we spent some time together, and then we went back to the sex hotel and we did have sex. And we had sex for a bunch of days, and I stayed there for a few weeks or something, and we got to know each other, and eventually I left, and she was sad about it. We weren't getting on, and there was some upset coming up, and at this time I wasn't really into the course, and I didn't know how to deal with my thoughts and feelings, and I was very much in the mode of anything comes up and I'm gone. I was just very good at it. I would start a relationship, and the longest it lasts for many years was like 2 months, 3 months max, if it went really well. And I left, and she sent me this long email, which I really wish, I tried searching for it, but it was with an old email address, and I remember going to the internet cafe at the time. Yeah, I didn't have anything back then. Actually, I had a phone, but reading the email, and she said, I can't remember, it was a very long email. She said, "You don't know how much you touched my life, but this short time together, and I know I may never see you again, but I just wanted to let you know how helpful this was for me." And she said something in the email. We were driving around a lot, and we would stop at crossroads and stuff, and these gypsy kids would come up, and they would always ask for money, and every time, like, so many places, so many poor people, there would be like a shanty town, and they would all come over and, "Oh, can I have some money?" She would, "No, no, 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 no." And after the first time I had this thought, okay, I better take some money, whatever it is, like get some coins, get some cash. And then I found these little angels in one of the shops, and I would and we stopped, and I rolled down the window and I give them a little bit of money with an angel. And yeah, and I just did it. I just felt inspired to do it. So, and I had, money to give, so I gave. And she said, "You don't know how much that changed me." She said, "My whole outlook on life changed because of that short period, those few weeks with you. Like, I'm so much more giving and open and loving and caring because that time spent with you." And it wasn't the sex necessarily, but the sex was kind of like a conduit of like to get to that, like, I don't think we would have stayed together without the sex, because it was in my mind that this was like something I wanted. You know, it was sort of part of the experience. So I was just thinking, okay, yeah, so sex hasn't been so like, so bad, because I was saying I don't want it. I don't want to. I don't want to keep doing or just experiencing the world through wanting these experiences that they just lead to pain. And the last few times I've had sexual experiences, it's just been awful. Like karma was kicking in and saying, like, this is not it. This is not it. Like, if you do it for this purpose, even. And I thought, okay, if I have, sex has been a big thing, and it's been troublesome and difficult over the years, because it's been, sex and masturbation and all these things. It's just, it's refocusing on the body, and I can feel it's not helpful. And yet I'm still drawn to it, and every time it's like, recently, no, that was awful. Like, that wasn't nice. Not like I used to remember how nice it was, and how I used to get compliments over how good I was in bed. These last few ones, like, oh. and then I had this thought, like, trying to get over sex by having sex, like trying to disidentify myself with the body and disidentify myself with this person, and still wanting sex, or still using sex as this tool for enlightenment, is like wanting to get over heroin by taking heroin. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make any sense that you would try to get over heroin by taking heroin. I mean, maybe in microdoses, maybe, I don't know, but all I know is, you got to go, from what I heard, you got to go cold turkey. You just got to push through it and never take it again. And that is the way out of it. Because as soon as you feel a little bit of it again, you're like, oh. And it's the same with sex. Like, you feel a little bit again. And the same with any kind of desire for stuff, desire for things. If you have a little bit of it, you're enticed back into it. But if you pull away and realize over and over again that this is not for you, then, and yeah, I think that is the key, right? Cold turkey. And when you go back into it, you're like, oh, that wasn't it. And I think this is what I experienced recently, that, okay, this is not it. This is not, it's not helpful for my healing. And I felt the resistance of just letting it go. Like, what if I never had sex again in this entire experience? Like, this would be the end. It would never happen again. And I can even feel now, like, there's resistance. Like, what would it be for? Like, what would it? Even like a special, like romantic, even so-called holy relationship. I was listening to Nook, and she said it. It's not about the body anymore. When you get an advanced holy relationship, you're not really interested in that. And there's a part of me that goes, yes, let me experience that with everyone and with everything. Like, not necessarily one person that's continuous or whatever, but just let me experience that, like, where I don't need anything from them. And even if I feel that energy, because that's the worst thing, that I have this, the sexual energy when I feel it with someone, and then it becomes this intense energy, like, whoa. And then the more I go close to them, then it's like the touch, and it increases, and it blows up, and I feel energy really intensely. I am energetically super duper sensitive. So for me, like, I was just remembering a relationship quite a number of months ago, and it was just, the sexual energy was intense, although now I realise it was just kind of a repeating of the past. But as soon as the sex happened, it was like it was terrible. It was not a nice experience. It was like going down a dark hole, and yeah. And to be honest, it wasn't for them, but it was for me. It wasn't nice at all. It wasn't, and yeah, what would you have? Experiences in a body, or would you rather know yourself to be as you are? Even now, as I'm talking about, my heart's like, because, and I said to God, okay, if you, Holy Spirit, if you want me to do this, you have to send an angel down, and the angel has to tell me or give me some strong, like, this must be done in order for this healing to happen. Then I'll do it. But other than that, I don't want any special relationships. I don't want any, like, I don't want to get involved in sex. I don't want to be, like, anything that pulls me back into the state of sadness, which that's what happened basically with this other relationship. Well, all of them, yeah, they just pull me back into a state of sadness, and like, like, and it's just so, I don't know, just pointless. I could choose that, or I could just choose to go my way separately, seemingly, or not. Yeah, just be, I say alone, because yeah, or just have friends that just aren't. Yeah, that's just have friends that aren't actually. Yeah, it's very difficult to be in a female. That's what I found, to be in a female relationship that they don't have a partner, and not have that if I'm not attracted to it, to the relationship. But now, actually saying that, now it feels different. Even I've having connections with females recently, and I'm like, oh, I don't want it. I still don't want it. Although I can feel the back of my mind, it's like, yes, I do want it. Like the temptation, you see, and I've seen these videos on YouTube recently. I'm looking at the video, and it's this beautiful woman. I click on it. It's like that. There's still part of me that's still, not to make myself guilty. I just notice it. Like there's still part of me that wants this human experience, this sexual energy to be activated, because it does feel good. At some level, it does feel like, whoa, it's nice. And I think it's also just a connection. Like it's everything in this world seems like you associate one situation with an energy value, with something, and then you think, oh, that's the same thing, and it's not. Like you think you have a sexual feeling with someone, and you think, oh, that means, I'm giving it a meaning. I'm associating that idea with, oh, that means we should have sex. And yet the course is, the latest edition is saying, well, that's a misguided miracle impulse. You're connecting it to an old experience, but the energy of sex, I don't think has anything to do with sex. I think it's our natural state. It's like I reckon, in our spiritual state, that this is like one of our natural feelings that we have. Like we can probably pass through a number of states of feeling and as we're creating worlds and doing whatever we do as spirit, that we're experiencing different, like, we've always got that oneness state, but I believe there's the sex state, but it's nothing to do with sex. It's nothing to do with bodies, because we're not physical, we're not human. We're just a being of light, I like to think that, because I don't like this idea that we're just buzzing somewhere. We're not being. We're just always in light, not doing anything. I believe we're light beings that are. We just go around making shit and doing cool stuff and having cool adventures all the time, and that's our life as a being of light. I don't like this. Oh, we're just a light sitting somewhere going, ah. and then just beaming all constantly, I think we're doing shit. Yeah. It's so peaceful here. I love this place. It's so peaceful. I didn't see where this